Hey friends, welcome back to Our Joy of Gaming. I'm Clayton, and today I want to give you my review of Loop 8, The Summer of Gods. Now, I was really excited to play this game. I love the idea of a coming-of-age JRPG at the beginning of summer that loops time. The idea that time will loop and you have to save humanity. I mean, what's not to like about this idea? The start of summer, we are right now at the start of summer, and of course, great childhood memories of getting out of school and developing those friendships, going off to camp and exploring the mountains and the wilderness nearby my house and bonding up with friends and having fights with certain people. And that's really what this game sort of centers around. You're having to develop these relationships with the people in the town. So you are Nini, you are a spaceman essentially, come back to find his cousin and live in your grandmother's house in the small Japanese fishing village. And she kind of takes you around like Obi-Wan Kenobi and shows you the ropes, shows you where the school is, shows you where the beach is. And you're still getting your feet wet because your body is not really used to holding forks and knives and having gravity because you lived in space for so long. So really interesting idea. I love that idea. And of course, I love the looping idea, the looping mechanic, where if you die, you get to loop back to the beginning and then rebuild these relationships. That sounds great, right? Until it happens to you for the first time and you go into battle and you realize, wait a minute, the last hour and a half of all of these relationships that I just built up with these people randomly throughout the city, they're all gone now? And now they don't remember me? And yes, you have to rebuild those relationships. So right away, I'm like scared of looping. I don't want to loop because I don't want to have to lose all of my progress again and go back and have to build up these relationships again. So the idea, the name of the game is Loop 8, right? That's a big piece of it. And so you can choose to even loop at certain points using one of the characters and enter an event loop if you feel like you need to go back and fix something or that make a certain relationship better, because all of these relationships will come back later to be used in battle against the Kagai, which is the dark force that's been taking over humanity and turning Earth into a barren sort of forested wasteland, basically. So you need to have these relationships built up and bonded up to a certain level in order to fight the bad guys. So I'll get further into that in a second. But first, let me just tell you some positives, right? Always start with the positives. I thought the artwork, the anime style of this game was just beautiful. I was really drawn into the visuals of this place. And I have to say it was pretty eerie at parts because you're walking down the cafe, down to the cafe in Main Street and kind of exploring, and it's getting a little dark, and the music is very moody and shifting and brings you into this atmosphere. And I did feel like this was an isolated fishing village, is what we were told, that this is one of the last sort of untouched villages in the world from the Kagai, who've really taken over everything else. So you do get that feeling. And people are a little off. Also, it has this, I don't know, a little bit of a Twin Peaks vibe to me as well. So you're going to the school and the teacher's a little weird and some of the friends are a little weird, and then you're trying to build up relationships. And that's what I did really love about the game. I really loved the idea of building up these summer relationships. And so I went to the beach at one point and I met this girl named Machina. Her last name is Machina. And I thought, oh, she's kind of weird. She almost is talking like she's a machine, Machina, you know? And she's referring to herself kind of like she needs to shut down for the night, as if she's like a computer or something. And she's a little high-wired, and I was like, oh, I'd like to be friends with this person. I had people like that in my life growing up who were a little wild, and I was kind of like the stoic one, you know? So I would be friends with them, and they'd be like, I'm so wild, and you're so normal. And so that always worked in my life, you know? And so I appreciated that. So I was trying to have this relationship with Machina. I was trying to flatter her. You can flatter her. And then at one point I was like, do you want to take a walk? And she's like, yeah, that'd be great. So we take a walk. And then I went to tease her. And I teased her, and she's like, she was furious at me for teasing her. And I thought, I know people like this, you know, who just can't take a joke. You know, they just can't take a joke. They can't be teased. And I thought that was a lot of fun. And then she kind of stormed off, and I was like, no, I want her as my friend. And then, of course, if she becomes your friend and you bond up to that level, she'll then join your team, who's then later used in battle. So I love that idea. But then randomly, you'll just be walking along and she's nowhere to be found, and suddenly you just get a little notification that she's changed her mind and she doesn't want to be a part of your group anymore. So it kind of gets a little frustrating, and you're kind of like, well, I want to go back and have her be part of my group again. So anyway, the whole game is about this sort of coming of age, developing these relationships and wandering around the island. So to me, the test of a good game is when I put it down at the end of the day, I played it for a few hours, do I think about it, and then do I want to pick it up the next day? So I put it down, I went to bed, and I was in bed, and I was thinking about this game, and I was thinking about these relationships and how, okay, if I do these certain things, then I could probably have better outcomes in the battles against the Kagai. Okay, so and I was thinking about this, and then the next morning I woke up and started to play it again, and that's where things went a little south for me, to be honest with you. So I'm just being honest here. I'm never gonna lie to you on this channel about what I feel. And I should say the publisher sent me a review code. Thanks to Xseed and Marvelous for sending me a review code of this game. But that doesn't change my opinion of the game because someone sends me a review code. I'm going to give you my honest feedback of it. So there's a lot to like about it. The visual sounds, the visual style of the game. I liked the leveling up with different friends. So then I pick up the game the next day, and I'm excited to try to level up some of these characters and go back into battle, which are beautiful. The battles are absolutely beautiful. But then I'm repeating the same dialogue over and over and over again with these characters. And, okay, I have to flatter this person, and she's put off, she's upset with me, and there's not enough, to me, there's not enough variation in this mechanic system, this looping mechanic, this friendship mechanic, to really make it compelling. And I'm reminded of a game that I played earlier this year, which was Fire Emblem Engage. And you're bonding up those characters and conversations in between battles. And they have real world implications, and you really feel like if I give this person a gift, they may or may not like it based on that person's personality. And the dialogue is never the same. In Fire Emblem Engage, you're never repeating dialogue. Ever. The whole game, all 26 chapters. There's no repetition, and you're constantly learning about the relationships between these characters in Fire Emblem Engage. And here you're repeating the same dialogue over and over and over again. So this idea of looping back, if I die, I have to loop back in time and I have to repeat all of that again? No. Now it'd be different if it was like a choose your own adventure where if I loop back, it's totally different. And I have to then, with different dialogue, different structure, have to figure out a new path forward, but it's the same. It really becomes the same. I'm just trying to make this person like me, or this person is put off by me, or I find that person offensive and I don't want to hang out with that person, and it's just kind of repetitive in that way. So then you go into battle, and those relationships carry over into the battle mechanic. Whether you're friendly, you're affectionate, almost like a dating kind of a feeling, or you're hateful. And depending on how you utilize those things in battle, can suck down your stamina and can really be reflected in the battle fights. What's interesting to me, though, is the game, the rest of the game looks beautiful, and it's animated beautifully, and I don't feel like it chugs along at all. I feel like it's really responsive. But then when I got to the battle scenes, I thought, is something wrong here? Because if it's 30 frames a second, why are we seeing all this sort of stuttering in the battle scenes? Really, I mean, a lot of visuals happening on the screen and a lot of stuttering, and I thought, ooh, something going on here. Again, I kind of come back to Fire Emblem Engage, and the battle scenes are the best. Oh my gosh, seeing those battles is what you want, right? You pay that for the price of admission. That's why you're going to see that, to see those amazing battle animations. And here I just felt like all the build up to these battles, and yeah, it's a little stuttery. And I'm not a frame rate person. I don't really care. But this did bother me because the rest of the game is so visually stunning. And maybe this can be fixed in a patch down the line. Overall, I love the idea of this game, this idea of looping time. You're a spaceman coming down to a Japanese fishing village to help save humanity. But it was just laborious. It was just slow, laborious, and repetitive for me, and looping over and over and over again. And also the music. There was some nice atmospheric music in different parts of the game, but for the most part, it was a very simple piano structure for a lot of the game. As you're wandering along, and it was, again, almost a repetitive soundtrack as well that didn't suck me in the way that a really good game soundtrack would suck me in. I think this would be, for someone who can sit down and have a lot of patience and really enjoys like visual novels and doesn't mind having to be repetitive with things. Maybe a younger child who's not stuck on TikTok might enjoy this game, doesn't have such short attention span. But I don't have short attention span. I can sit for a long time and play games and really enjoy the dialogue but I just felt like, oh my God, I'm doing the same thing over and over again. And I certainly don't want to use this looping mechanic because I'm going to have to repeat everything over and over again. And that's the name of the game, Loop8. Like, I don't want to have to use the loop, you know, and that's frustrating. That really is frustrating. So I want to hear your thoughts on this. Are you planning on picking up Loop8 Summer of Gods? Let me know. And let me just finish with this. You know, there's a lot of great games to play out there, and maybe give it a try. You know, try it for a little while, see if you like it, see if it sticks for you, because I think there's a lot to like about this coming of age story. The summertime, you're making friends, and you have to battle this bizarre, you know, humanity-crushing demons of Kagai that are taking over the world. There's a lot to like there. Let me just say that. But I'm reminded of Stephen King writing in his great book, On Writing, is the name of the book, that I read a number of years ago. And he talks about how many great books there are out there. And if you start reading a book and you're just not into it, you don't have to feel compelled to finish it. And you can put it down, and you can pick up another book and start reading. So that's the way that I feel about this game. If you're not into it, you give it a good try, and it just doesn't stick with you, then there's always other games to play out there. But who knows? Loop8 might end up becoming your favorite game of all time because you love the looping mechanic and you love building up these relationships. Let me know in the comments below what you think about playing Loop8 the Summer of Gods. We'll see you next time, everyone.